Peppa Pig, Strawberries. Grandpa Pig is showing Peppa and George the strawberry he has grown.
"Why is it hiding in a little house, Grandpa?"
asked Peppa.
"Because the cheeky birds have eaten the rest of my strawberries, and I need to protect this last one,"
says Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig tells Peppa that they can still eat strawberries. He knows the perfect place to go.
"Everybody in the car,"
he says.
"It's time to visit the strawberry farm." "Have you come to pick strawberries?"
asked Miss Rabbit when they arrive.
"Yes, please, Miss Rabbit,"
says Peppa excitedly.
"Then you've come to the right place. We've got nothing but strawberries,"
says Miss Rabbit.
"Pick as many as you like."
Miss Rabbit takes Peppa, George, Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig out to the strawberry fields and gives them each a basket to put their strawberries in.
"Wow!"
gasped Peppa.
"There are so many strawberries."
Pedro Pony and his family are at the strawberry farm too.
"Hello, Pedro,"
cries Peppa.
"Have you picked a lot of strawberries?" "Yes,"
replies Pedro.
"but my mummy and daddy keep eating them."
Mr. and Mrs. Pony sigh. They have eaten too many strawberries. Peppa and George giggle. They love skipping along, picking strawberries and putting them in their baskets.
"I must say, these strawberries do look lovely,"
says Granny Pig.
"The real test is to see if the strawberries taste any good,"
says Grandpa Pig, picking up a big juicy strawberry and biting into it.
"Actually, that is rather good."
Granny Pig eats a strawberry too.
Scrumptious.
Granny and Grandpa Pig eat lots of strawberries. Peppa and George are very good at picking strawberries and have nearly filled up their baskets. Peppa sings a song as they pick up the strawberries.
"Strawberry, strawberry, juicy, red and sweet. Strawberry, strawberry, they're so nice to eat."
Peppa and George's baskets are full of strawberries, but Granny and Grandpa Pig's baskets are empty.
"Granny, Grandpa, where are your strawberries?"
asked Peppa.
"In our tummies,"
replies Grandpa Pig.
"Maybe it's time to go home,"
says Granny Pig, rubbing her tummy. Danny Dog and his family has just arrived at the farm, ready to pick some strawberries. "Wow, look at all these lovely strawberries," says Captain Dog.
"Don't say that word,"
groans Grandpa Pig, holding his tummy. Granny and Grandpa Pig have eaten too many strawberries.
"Thank you for all the strawberries, Miss Rabbit,"
says Peppa.
"Now we can go home and make strawberry jam for everyone."
Say Granny and Grandpa Pig.
"Maybe we'll do that tomorrow, Peppa."
Peppa and George love strawberries. Everyone loves strawberries. Peppa Pig, Delphine Donkey. This is Peppa's friend, Delphine Donkey.
Hooray!
Delphine lives in France.
Wow!
Peppa speaks English. Delphine speaks French. Hello, says Peppa. Bonjour, says Delphine. Delphine lives in a city called Paris. Peppa and her family like to go and visit. Sometimes we travel on a train, says Peppa. And sometimes we travel on a boat. Peppa and Delphine love exploring Paris together. They go to parks, jump in puddles and visit cafes.
Wow.
Would you like a croissant? Asked Delphine. Says Peppa. Yes, please. In the holidays, Delphine comes to stay at Peppa's house. They sleep at each end of Peppa's bunk bed. I like sharing with you, says Delphine. Peppa has lots of fun with her friend Delphine. They don't see each other very often. But that makes it extra special when they do.
Hooray!
Peppa loves Delphine Donkey. Everyone loves Delphine Donkey. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa meets the Queen. Peppa and her family are watching television. Suddenly, there is a special announcement from the Queen. The Queen! The Queen! Peppa cheers. Hello to you all, the Queen says. Today I have decided to give an award to the hardest working person in the country.
Wow!
The hardest working person in the country is Miss Rabbit. At the supermarket, Miss Rabbit is closing the shop when Mr. Zebra the postman presents her with a golden letter. Miss Rabbit, please come to my palace to get a medal for all your hard work. Bring friends, all the best, the Queen. I can't visit the Queen, I've got too much work to do, Miss Rabbit panics. Don't worry, Peppa says. The Queen has made it a holiday. It is the day Miss Rabbit visits the Queen. Peppa and her friends are going too. We're off to see the Queen, we're off to see the Queen. E-I-I-D-O, we're off to see the Queen. Here we are, Miss Rabbit squeaks.
Wow!
Look at all the fancy stuff. Woof, Danny Dog says. Don't touch anything, Miss Rabbit warns. Where is the Queen? Emily Elephant asks. Queen! Susie Sheep calls. Where are you? In another fancy room, there is a lady sitting on a throne knitting. Hello, Peppa says. Have you seen the Queen today? I am the Queen, the lady says. The children are very excited to meet you, Your Majesty, says Miss Rabbit. I'm excited to meet all of you, the Queen says, standing up. And now for Miss Rabbit's medal.
Wow!
This is the Queen's award for industry. Keep up the good work. The Queen puts a shiny gold medal over Miss Rabbit's head. Cheers for Miss Rabbit, the Queen says. Hip hip, hooray, shout the children.
Hooray! Hooray!
Miss Rabbit and the children wear their boots to go out into the palace gardens with the Queen.
Do you play in your garden all the time, your majesty? Danny Dog asks. I don't have time for playing, no, answers the Queen. She suddenly stops. Oh dear, a muddy puddle. Never mind, we can walk around it. You can't walk around a muddy puddle, Peppa says. You have to jump in it. Peppa shows the Queen how to jump up and down in a muddy puddle. I say, that does look fun, the Queen says. Here one goes then. Stop! Shouts Peppa. Everyone gasps. If you jump in muddy puddles, Peppa says, you must wear your boots, your majesty. The Queen goes inside and comes back with her boots on. Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles, including the Queen. The end. Peppa loves doctors and nurses. It was people who help us today at playgroup, and everyone was excited. Now, children, began Madame Gazelle, today we have two very special visitors. They are both people who help us. Is one the Queen? Asked Peppa. Is one my auntie? Asked Rebecca Rabbit. Dinosaur, roar! Asked George. 3 wonderful guesses, said Madame Gazelle. But the people coming to see us today are Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox. Hooray! Cheered the children, jumping up and down. They loved Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox. When I hurt my leg, I had to go to hospital, said Pedro Pony. Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox looked after me. When I was feeling poorly, said Peppa, Dr. Brown Bear made me feel all better. Just then there was a noise from outside. The children ran to the window to look. Madame Gazelle, it's Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox. Good morning, everyone, said Dr. Brown Bear. Today, Nurse Fox and I are going to talk to you about keeping fit and staying healthy. Let's start by going over to the playground and getting our bodies moving. Yippee! Cheered the children. They loved moving around outside. Dr. Brown Bear and Nurse Fox had built an obstacle course. To keep fit and healthy, we must move our bodies every day, said Dr. Brown Bear. Madame Gazelle will show us all how it's done. The children watched in amazement as Madame Gazelle completed the obstacle course perfectly. Ta-da! She cried. Now it is your turn, children, said Dr. Brown Bear. Ready, steady, go! Peppa and her friends set off. They swung, crawled, hopped, slid, skipped, and jumped around. This is so much fun, isn't it, Susie? Cheered Peppa, but as she turned to Susie Sheep, Peppa forgot to look where she was going and fell on her bottom. Oops! Cried Peppa. Nurse Fox came straight over. Are you all right? She asked. I think so, said Peppa. Good, said Nurse Fox, checking that Peppa was not hurt. You can carry on now, Peppa, but please be careful. Thank you for helping me, said Peppa. Peppa loved the obstacle course. This is my favourite bit, she cried, jumping high and landing in a big muddy puddle. I'm not sure that's part of the course, Peppa, said Madame Gazelle, smiling. Snack time, called Nurse Fox. Hooray! Cheered the children. Don't forget to wash your hands before you eat, said Nurse Fox. All the children went to wash their hands. Peppa and Rebecca sang the Wash Your Hands song. Wash, wash, wash our hands, wash them nice and clean. Bubbly, scrubbly, scrubbly, bubbly, wash them nice and clean. Eating healthy food helps us to stay fit and strong, said Dr. Brown Bear as he tried to open his snack box. This seems to be stuck. Nurse Fox, could you help me, please? Nurse Fox came over and opened the box easily. Nurse Fox, gasped Peppa, you must eat lots of healthy food to be that strong. Everyone laughed. Peppa and her friends loved snack time. Yummy, they cried. Keeping fit and strong was delicious. You've done such a good job today, children, said Dr. Brown Bear. When they finished, I'm going to give you all a sticker. Hooray! Cheered the children. They loved stickers too. Madame Gazelle brought out the dressing up box. It's time for you to be the doctors and nurses now, children, she said. Peppa and her friends had lots of fun dressing up. Dr. Brown Bear, said Peppa the doctor, you must keep fit and stay healthy too. Of course, he replied. The children took Dr. Brown Bear outside and told him to go around and around the obstacle course. One more time, cried Peppa the doctor. Okay, how's this? Gasped Dr. Brown Bear. When he was allowed to stop, he looked quite tired. Dr. Brown Bear doesn't look very well, said Peppa the doctor. I think he needs a plaster. And bandages, added Nurse Danny Dog. And more bandages, added Nurse Susie. Now he needs a sticker, said Peppa the doctor. All the little doctors and nurses covered Dr. Brown Bear in stickers. Thank you for being so helpful, said Dr. Brown Bear. He was covered in so many bandages he couldn't move. What a patient he was. What do we say to our visitors? Asked Madame Gazelle. Thank you, Dr. Brown Bear. Thank you, Nurse Fox, cheered the children, giving them a big clap. Clap, clap, clap. Peppa loves doctors and nurses. Everyone loves doctors and nurses. The end.
Peppa Pig. Flip, flap, Peppa. Peppa loves dressing up.
Wow.
Who will she be today? Peppa is a daring explorer. She's hunting high and low. I'm ready for adventure. Looking for things to discover. Peppa is a grown-up lady. She's going out to the shops. Smelling of Mummy Pig's perfume.
Wow.
Look at my lovely shoes. Peppa is a brave firefighter. She's ready for an emergency. Wearing yellow waterproofs. Everything is under control.
Hooray!
Peppa is a caring nurse. She's always ready to help. With her first aid kit.
Hooray!
I'll make you better, George. Peppa is a flying superhero. She's disguised in a shadowy mask.
wearing a magic super cape. I will save the day. Peppa is a fairy tale princess. She lives in a royal palace with her little pet mouse. Let's ride in our carriage, Sir George. Peppa is a clever scientist. She wants to zoom into space in her powerful rocket. I love looking at the stars. Peppa is a hungry tiger. She's prowling through the jungle with her animal friends. Peppa is a seafaring pirate. She's about to sail the ocean blue, looking for some treasure. Ahoy there, me hearties! Peppa is a magic witch. She can fly through the starry skies on her magical broom. I'll turn you into a frog. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's magical creatures. Peppa and George are having a sleepover at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Hooray!
Granny Pig is reading a bedtime story. And the fairy and the unicorn lived happily ever after, says Granny Pig. The end. I wish I was a fairy, Peppa sighs dreamily. Touch Peppa's shiny wings. Granny Pig tucks Peppa and George into bed. The next story is an underwater adventure, she says. We can read it in the morning. I hope it has a mermaid in it, says Peppa, with a beautiful shimmery tail.
Wow!
Touch Mermaid Peppa's shimmery tail. Peppa dreams of being a mermaid. And a friendly narwhal swims up to say hello. Mermaid Peppa giggles. You're a little sea unicorn. Touch the squishy narwhal. George can't get to sleep. He wakes Peppa up. Would you like another story, George? asks Peppa. Mr. Dinosaur will like this one. Peppa tells George and Mr. Dinosaur a story about a big green dragon. Touch the dragon's bumpy skin. Granny Pig comes back to turn off the light. Night, night, my lovelies, she whispers. What shall we dream of next? Peppa asks sleepily. Unicorns. Touch the soft unicorn. Sweet dreams. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's magical unicorn. One rainy day, Peppa invited Susie Sheep to her house to play. Hello, Susie, cried Peppa when she arrived. Let's play with my horse. Peppa introduced Susie to her toy horse. Susie, meet Horsey Twinkletoes. Horsey Twinkletoes, meet Susie. It's very nice to meet you. Miss Twinkletoes, said Susie politely. Peppa and Susie galloped off to Peppa's bedroom together. Giddy up, Horsey, shouted Peppa, racing around her room on Horsey Twinkletoes while Susie watched. Daddy Pig heard all the noise and came upstairs to see what was going on. We're playing horses, Daddy, cried Peppa.
I see, said Daddy Pig, seeing Susie sitting quietly. Do you think perhaps it's Susie's turn, Peppa? Asked Daddy Pig.
Yes, replied Peppa. Come on, Susie, you can ride Horsey Twinkletoes now. I don't want to play horses, sighed Susie. I want to play unicorns.
Peppa thought for a moment.
Well, Horsey Twinkletoes is a magic horse, she said. She can be a unicorn whenever she feels like it.
Oh, said Susie.
Okay.
Susie pranced around the room on Horsey Twinkletoes.
Let's brush her beautiful tail, said Peppa. But unicorns have rainbow tails, said Susie. Oh, said Peppa. That's okay. We can put coloured ribbons in it.
What a good idea, said Daddy Pig. You do that while I get you both a snack.
Now we can fly on the sky on our unicorn, cheered Peppa. But a unicorn has a horn to hold when you fly, said Susie. Horsey Twinkletoes doesn't have a horn.
Oh, said Peppa.
That's okay. She flies so gently you don't even have to hold on.
Peppa and Susie took it in turns to fly around the room.
I wish Horsey Twinkletoes was a real unicorn, said Susie. And I wish he was really, really, really sparkly, added Peppa.
I think Horsey Twinkletoes is tired, said Daddy Pig. Why don't you build her a den to sleep in?
Yay!
Cheered Peppa and Susie. While Peppa and Susie were busy building a den in the living room, Daddy Pig gathered some secret supplies for later. Wow, said Daddy Pig, when Peppa and Susie had finished. What a fantastic den!
Can we sleep in it tonight, Daddy? Asked Peppa. Please?
Of course, said Daddy Pig. If Mammy Sheep says it's okay, you can have a sleepover in the den.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Cheered Peppa and Susie. After dinner, Peppa and Susie got ready for their sleepover.
Please, can you read us a bedtime story all about unicorns, Daddy?
Asked Peppa. Of course, Daddy Pig replied. When the story was finished, Peppa and Susie snuggled up in their cosy den and fell fast asleep. While Peppa and Susie slept, Daddy Pig picked up Horsey Twinkletoes, tiptoed outside, and quietly set to work painting. And painting some more, then sticking and sticking some more. And then Daddy Pig added the final touch. A horn. Daddy Pig sneaked back to the den to return Horsey Twinkletoes. Ta-da! He whispered. Then he went upstairs and was about to go to sleep when he heard, "Wow!" Peppa and Susie gasped loudly. They had woken up to find Horsey Twinkletoes had transformed into a magical unicorn.
I told you Horsey Twinkletoes was magic, said Peppa. She's perfect,
added Susie. The next morning, Peppa, Susie, George, Mammy and Daddy Pig all sat down for breakfast. Peppa told her family what had happened.
And when we woke up, Horsey Twinkletoes had turned into a real unicorn, gasped Peppa. It's magic.
Said Daddy Pig sleepily. How wonderful, said Mammy Pig. It sounds like you and Susie had the perfect sleepover.
Yes, said Peppa, but why does Daddy have paint all over his face?
Daddy Pig couldn't answer. He had fallen asleep at the table. After breakfast, Peppa and Susie headed off on a magical adventure with their new unicorn.
I love your magical unicorn, cheered Susie. Me too, said Peppa. Everyone loves magical unicorns,
Especially Daddy Pig. The Peppa Pig, Mr. Fox's shop. Mummy and Daddy Pig are wrapping up a present for Granny and Grandpa Pig's wedding anniversary. It is a glass vase.
That's a bit of a boring present,
Says Peppa. Laughs Daddy Pig. It's a present for grown-ups. Peppa and George want to buy Granny and Grandpa Pig a present too. George gets their piggy bank to see how much money they have.
We have 1 penny and 2 buttons to spend,
says Peppa. Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig head to Mr. Fox's shop with the piggy bank. Peppa is very excited about buying Granny and Grandpa Pig a present. When they arrive, they open Mr. Fox's shop door and a bell rings. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Hello there, says Mr. Fox from behind the shop counter. Can I help you?
It's Granny and Grandpa Pig's wedding anniversary, says Mummy Pig. They are both very old and need a present,
explains Peppa. My shop has everything, replies Mr. Fox. I'm sure you'll find something.
A big teddy,
cries Peppa, picking a teddy bear from the shelf.
I love it. This can be the present.
The present is not for you, says Mummy Pig. It's for Granny and Grandpa.
Oh yes,
says Peppa, disappointed. Do your Granny and Grandpa like digging in the garden? asks Mr. Fox.
Yes,
replies Peppa. Then why not get them a bucket and spade each? asks Mr. Fox.
They have spades and buckets and forks and everything, says Peppa. I know, cries Peppa. Grandpa likes sailing his boat.
Say no more, says Mr. Fox. I have everything a sailor could wish for.
Do you have pirate's treasure?
asks Peppa. Says Mr. Fox. Everything except pirate's treasure. Oh, Peppa and George sigh, disappointed. How about this plastic oak chair? suggests Mr. Fox. Is it comfortable? asks Daddy Pig. You can't sit on it, warns Mr. Fox. You just look at it because it looks nice.
That's not much fun, says Peppa, even for a grown-up.
My shop sells everything, says Mr. Fox. There must be something you like.
There is,
cries Peppa, picking up a teddy bear again.
I like this teddy and I think Granny and Grandpa Pig would like it too.
Laughs Daddy Pig. Let's buy the teddy then. A very good choice, says Mr. Fox. Who's going to pay? George empties the piggy bank onto the shop counter. 1 penny and 2 buttons, says Mr. Fox. Here's your change, 1 button.
Thank you, Mr. Fox,
replies Peppa. Then Peppa and her family head to Granny and Grandpa's house.
Happy anniversary,
cheers Mummy Pig as Granny opens the vase. Oh, another glass vase, says Grandpa, not very excited.
It's a grown-up present, says Peppa. That's why it's a bit boring.
Then Granny opens the present from Peppa and George.
A teddy bear, she says, delighted. Thank you, Peppa and George. It's the best present we've ever had. Indeed, says Grandpa Pig excitedly. The end. Peppa Pig, Puddle Playtime. Peppa and George have found a puddle. It is very big and very muddy.
Hooray!
George scoops some mud into his bucket. Says Peppa. I love playing in muddy puddles. Touch the shiny bucket of mud. Mummy Pig has come outside with her umbrella. Time to put on your rain clothes, she says. Peppa and George go to get changed. The rain makes their puddle even bigger.
Wow!
Touch the shimmery raindrops. Look, says Mummy Pig. Someone else likes jumping in the mud. Peppa gasps. A little green frog has hopped into the garden. Touch the bumpy frog. 3 ducks have waddled up to see Peppa and George. Do you want to play with us too? Asks Peppa. The ducks jump into the muddy puddle. Touch the fluffy duck. Hello, snorts Daddy Pig. I hear there's some puddle jumping going on. There is, giggles Peppa. Jump in, Daddy. Peppa loves muddy puddles. Everyone loves muddy puddles. Touch the icky, sticky mud. The end. Peppa Pig and the Muddy Puddles. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are tucking Peppa and George into bed. There's so much rain, Peppa says. That means there will be muddy puddles to jump in tomorrow, Mummy Pig says with a smile. The splish, splash, splosh of raindrops on the window sings Peppa and George to sleep. They dream of muddy puddles. It rains and rains and rains. The next morning, the sun is shining. Daddy Pig runs out to jump in a muddy puddle, but he lands in a big pool of water instead. Oh, how did this water get here? Daddy Pig asks. And where are the muddy puddles? Asks Peppa. Our house is on an island, says Peppa. Oh dear, says Mummy Pig. What will we do? Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig arrive on their boat. Ahoy there, Grandpa Pig says. Wonderful boating weather. We're going to the store, says Granny Pig. Can George and I come too? Asks Peppa. Yes, we'll do the shopping for everybody. Polly can remember our shopping list. She's very good at that, Granny Pig says.
Wow!
Who's a clever parrot? Ah, who's a clever parrot? Says Polly. Polly is very good at repeating what people say. Peppa George, Grandpa Pig, Granny Pig and Polly motor across the water. It's fun, but there are no muddy puddles. Each house is on an island. They go from house to house, asking everyone what they need from the store.
Susie Sheep asks for chocolate. Chocolate, Polly repeats. Grandad Dog needs a newspaper and Danny wants a comic book. Newspaper, comic book, Polly repeats. Grampy Rabbit wants cheese. Cheese, Polly repeats. Grandpa Pig's boat arrives at the supermarket. Hello, says Miss Rabbit. What can I get you? Polly knows, Peppa says proudly. Polly opens her beak. Who's a clever parrot? Who's a clever parrot? She says. Polly has forgotten the list. Don't worry, says Peppa. I remember. So they got what's needed and go back to deliver everything. Cheese, says Grampy Rabbit. Thank you. A newspaper and comic book, says Grandad Dog and Danny Dog. Thank you. Chocolate, says Susie Sheep. Thank you. Chocolate for dinner, asks Mummy Sheep. Peppa and George are very sleepy when they arrive back home. Did you have fun? asks Mummy Pig. Yes, says Peppa. We got lots of things at the store. We got something for everyone. But Peppa is sad. She didn't get what she wanted. There were no muddy puddles at all. The next morning, the sun is shining brightly in the clear blue sky. Polly Parrot comes to visit. Grandpa Pig's boat is stuck on Peppa's front lawn. Oh, Granny Pig says, looking out from the boat. The flood is over. The houses that were on islands yesterday are now back to normal, sitting on top of their hills.
Hooray!
The water that Peppa and George boated in is gone.
Wow!
And at the bottom of their very own hill, they see a great big muddy puddle. Big enough for everyone. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Muddy Puddle Walk. Peppa and George are visiting Granny and Grandpa Pig. It's Muddy Puddle Walk Day, says Peppa. What's that? asks Granny Pig. It's a sponsored walk with playgroup, says Peppa. We're going to jump in muddy puddles all the way. Splat! shouts George. The walk is to raise money to help people, explains Peppa, and to get really, really muddy. I love getting muddy, says Grandpa Pig. Can Granny Pig and I come along too? Yes, says Peppa. Madame Gazelle says that having lots of people will make the walk even more fun. Shall I bring this giant chocolate cake I made? asked Granny Pig. We can sell it at the walk. Yes, please, says Peppa. Miss Rabbit has a cake stall.
Hooray!
Oh, sighs Grandpa Pig. I was rather hoping I could have a slice. But Grandpa, says Peppa, it will help us to raise money. As everyone puts on their boots and gets ready for the walk, Peppa sings a song. Who loves muddy puddles? We do, we do. Who loves muddy puddles? We do, we do. Daddy and Mummy, me and George, we're all going on a muddy puddle walk. Have you got your boots on? We do, we do.
Have you got your boots on? We do, we do. Granny and Grandpa, me and George, we're all going on a muddy puddle walk.
When they arrive, Granny Pig takes her cake to Miss Rabbit's cake stall. Then Madame Gazelle asks everyone to head to the starting line.
Wow.
Now, says Madame Gazelle, has everybody got their boots on? Yes, everyone cheers. Okay, ready, steady, go, calls Madame Gazelle. Grandpa Pig reaches a very deep, muddy puddle.
Jump in it, Grandpa,
cries Peppa. Okay, says Grandpa Pig. He jumps straight into the very deep muddled puddle. Everyone gets very muddy, jumping in all the muddy puddles. At the end of the walk, Peppa and her family each get a sticker and a certificate. Fantastic news, everyone, says Madame Gazelle. We've raised lots of money. Hooray! Everyone cheers.
Granny,
Says Peppa.
where's Grandpa gone?
I don't know, Peppa, says Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig arrives carrying Granny Pig's chocolate cake. All that jumping made me a bit peckish, he says. So I bought this. Anyone for a slice? Everyone laughs. Peppa loves Muddy Puddle Walk Day. Everyone loves Muddy Puddle Walk Day. The end. Peppa Pig, I Love You, Mummy Pig. It was very early in the morning, and Peppa and George had woken up Daddy Pig and dragged him to the kitchen.
We want to make Mummy a surprise breakfast,
said Peppa excitedly. Yawned Daddy Pig. Well, I am a bit of an expert at making pancakes.
Yippee!
Cheered Peppa.
Mummy loves pancakes.
Upstairs, Mammy Pig was in bed. She could hear lots of noise. Bang, crash.
Oops, Mummy!
Shouted Peppa.
We need you, Mummy!
Mammy Pig got out of bed and went downstairs.
We're making you a surprise breakfast, Mummy,
Explained Peppa.
but it went a bit wrong.
Surprise, mumbled Daddy Pig. How lovely, said Mammy Pig, smiling. Why don't you tidy up the mess, said Mummy Pig, and I'll finish the breakfast. Mammy Pig tossed the pancakes high up into the air and straight onto everyone's plates.
Wow, Mummy,
Peppa and George cheered.
you're amazing.
And these are delicious, added Daddy Pig, tucking in. After breakfast, Peppa whispered to Daddy Pig,
Let's take Mummy to the beach.
Great idea, Peppa, whispered Daddy Pig. It is her favourite.
Mummy,
Cried Peppa.
we're taking you on a surprise trip.
How lovely, replied Mummy Pig. I'll just get my things. Mummy packed her bag. Then everyone hopped in the car.
Let's go!
Cheered Peppa. Oh, how lovely, said Mummy Pig, stepping out of the car. The beach in the snow. Oh, sighed Peppa, it is very cold. Not to worry, said Mummy Pig. She put out nice warm clothes for everyone, and then a table, some chairs, and lots of toys.
Thank you, Mummy,
said Peppa. Peppa built a snow castle, while George and Daddy played catch. You relax, Mummy, said Daddy Pig. George, catch! The ball flew through the air and was about to land on Peppa's snow castle. Mummy, shouted Peppa. We need you, Mummy. Mummy Pig jumped up and caught the ball just in time. Wow, Mummy, gasped Peppa. You're brilliant. How about we have a nice lunch, suggested Daddy Pig, getting the picnic things out. But just as everyone was about to eat, there was a great gust of wind. Whoosh! The food was whipped up off the table and up into the air. Mummy, cried Peppa. We need you, Mummy. Mummy Pig grabbed the umbrella and used it to catch all the picnic food. Wow, Mummy, gasped Peppa. You're so clever. Let's throw snowballs into the sea, said Peppa after they had eaten. So Daddy Pig, Peppa and George headed off to the sea while Mummy Pig read her book. Daddy Pig and Peppa had lots of fun. But when it was George's turn, he accidentally threw Mr. Dinosaur into the sea instead. Wah! Sobbed George, watching his dinosaur float away. Mummy, cried Peppa. We need you, Mummy. Mummy Pig ran towards the water's edge. She saw Mr. Dinosaur, pulled off her coat and dived into the cold sea to get him. Ooh, she gasped. It is a little chilly. She swam over to Mr. Dinosaur, then picked him up and swam quickly back to shore. Dinosaur! Arr! Growled George happily. Wow, Mummy, said Peppa. You're so brave. Peppa, George and Daddy Pig dried Mummy Pig with towels, and soon she was nice and warm. I think it's time to head home, said Daddy Pig. Good idea, agreed Mummy Pig, packing up their things. Goodbye, Snowy Beach, sang Peppa all the way home. After dinner, Mummy and Daddy Pig helped Peppa and George get ready for bed. Then they tucked them in with a story. Good night, Peppa. Good night, George, said Mummy Pig. Good night, bestest Mummy in the whole world, giggled Peppa. Mummy and Daddy Pig headed downstairs, but just as they sat down, they heard Peppa shout, Mummy, we need you, Mummy. So Mummy Pig went back upstairs. Yes, Peppa? I love you, Mummy, said Peppa, giving Mummy Pig a great big hug. Hurry, Mummy Pig, said George, and he gave her a great big hug too. I love you both, said Mummy Pig, very much. Now good night, and I'll see you in the morning. This is for you, said Daddy Pig, giving Mummy Pig a present. Mummy Pig opened it to find a great big bar of chocolate inside. Ooh, thank you, she said, delighted. Then she unwrapped the bar and saw that someone had already had a little nibble. Daddy Pig, she said, smiling. Daddy Pig looked very guilty and went bright red. I love you, Mummy Pig. The end. Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig's book. Mummy Pig is working on the computer. Please, can we play Happy Mrs. Chicken? asked Peppa. Not until Mummy Pig has finished writing her book, says Daddy Pig. After lots of hard work, I've finished my book, says Mummy Pig. Hooray! Now we can play Happy Mrs. Chicken, says Peppa. Peppa and George take it in turns to play. Well done, George, says Peppa. Oh no, I forgot to save my work, says Mummy Pig. Phew, it's still there. Let me save it now. Save, close, send.
Now it will be made into a real storybook.
Wow.
The next morning, Mummy Pig visits Peppa's playgroup.
Hooray!
Thank you for coming to read your new book to us today, says Madame Gazelle. It's very exciting, says Mummy Pig. The books are so new, I haven't even opened one yet. Madame Gazelle tells the children they must listen politely. Shh. Then Mummy Pig begins. Once upon a time, there was an onion called Funny Onion, says Mummy Pig.
Wow.
She turns over the page, but the rest of the book is one big long number. That's not what I wrote, gasped Mummy Pig. It's George's Happy Mrs. Chicken High score, cries Peppa. Mummy Pig is sad that her Funny Onion story has been replaced with numbers. I'm sorry, children, but I can't read to you today, she says. Oh, the children sigh sadly. They want to hear about Funny Onion. Can you remember this story, Mummy Pig? Asked Madame Gazelle. Yes, says Mummy Pig. Then just tell us the rest, says Madame Gazelle. Okay, says Mummy Pig, closing the book and putting it down. Once upon a time, there was an onion called Funny Onion. All he wanted was to make people laugh, but he made people cry instead because he was an onion. I must learn how to be funny, said Funny Onion. I will search the world to learn how to be funny, said Funny Onion.
Wow.
Then he met a tomato. The tomato said, Wear a funny hat. So Funny Onion wore a funny hat. But still people cried. Oh no! Next, Funny Onion met a banana. The banana said, Wear some funny shoes. So Funny Onion wore some funny shoes. But still people cried. Oh no! Funny Onion was ready to give up when he met a pineapple. What do you think the pineapple said? Mummy Pig asked the children. Wear a red nose, suggests Susie Sheep. Wear a purple wig, suggests Rebecca Rabbit. Very good, says Mummy Pig. But what the pineapple really said was, do something funny.
Wow.
Funny Onion did something funny, and everyone laughed. The end. As the story ends, the mummies and daddies arrive to take the children home.
Hooray!
I have your book, Dr. Elephant tells Mummy Pig. What did you mean by 453967? Mummy Pig doesn't tell him it's George's Happy Mrs. Chicken score. Everyone loves Mummy Pig's book. The end. Peppa Pig, my mummy. My name is Peppa, and this book is all about my mummy. She is the best mummy in the whole wide world, and the prettiest.
Wow.
My mummy is very graceful, like a ballerina. Except when it comes to picking blackberries. My mummy can be very serious. But sometimes she can be silly too. My mummy works very hard at home. And when she's outside, my mummy is very smart.
Wow.
She knows how to read maps and then make paper aeroplanes out of them. My mummy lets me and George pretend to be grown-ups. But she's always there to hug us if we are frightened. My mummy can do anything she puts her mind to. Especially if someone tells her she can't do it.
Oh no!
The very best thing about my mummy is how she always has time to jump in muddy puddles with us.
My mummy and me. This is Mummy and me. We do everything together. I love doing things with my mummy because she can do anything.
Wow!
Great steering, Mummy.
Here are some of our favourite things to do. We love racing downhill together as fast as we possibly can.
Whee! Look out, Peppa.
My mummy is super fast. We love making little craft projects together. And enormous ones too. Just a few more hours and we'll be finished, Peppa. My mummy is super at crafts. We love looking for adventures together, like zooming deep down into caves.
Wow!
And deep down into snow. My mummy is a super adventurer. We love having fun together at soft play. I think her favourite part is the ball pit.
I need a little help, Peppa.
My mummy is super funny. We love dressing up together. We pretend to be lots of incredibly important people. And other things too. My mummy is a super dresser-upper. We love dancing together. We spin around and around and around and fall over. Again and again and again. My mummy is a super dancer. But most of all, we love soaring high over the mountains together. Sometimes even without a plane.
Don't look down, Peppa.
My mummy and me love doing everything together because my mummy is super mummy.
Wow!
The end. Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig's book. Mummy Pig is working on the computer.
Please, can we play Happy Mrs. Chicken?
Asked Peppa. Not until Mummy Pig has finished writing her book, says Daddy Pig. After lots of hard work, I've finished my book, says Mummy Pig.
Hooray! Now we can play Happy Mrs. Chicken, says Peppa.
Peppa and George take it in turns to play.
Well done, George, says Peppa.
Oh no, I forgot to save my work, says Mummy Pig. Phew, it's still there. Let me save it now. Save, close, send. Now it will be made into a real storybook.
Wow!
The next morning, Mummy Pig visits Peppa's playgroup.
Hooray!
Thank you for coming to read your new book to us today, says Madame Gazelle. It's very exciting, says Mummy Pig. The books are so new, I haven't even opened one yet. Madame Gazelle tells the children they must listen politely. Shh. Then Mummy Pig begins. Once upon a time, there was an onion called Funny Onion, says Mummy Pig.
Wow!
She turns over the page, but the rest of the book is one big long number.
That's not what I wrote, gasped Mummy Pig. It's George's Happy Mrs. Chicken High score, cries Peppa. Mummy Pig is sad that her funny onion story has been replaced with numbers. I'm sorry, children, but I can't read to you today, she says. Oh, the children sigh sadly. They want to hear about Funny Onion. Can you remember this story, Mammy Pig? Asks Madame Gazelle. Yes, says Mammy Pig. Then just tell us the rest, says Madame Gazelle. OK, says Mummy Pig, closing the book and putting it down. Once upon a time, there was an onion called Funny Onion. All he wanted was to make people laugh, but he made people cry instead because he was an onion. I must learn how to be funny, said Funny Onion. I will search the world to learn how to be funny, said Funny Onion.
Wow.
Then he met a tomato. The tomato said, Wear a funny hat. So Funny Onion wore a funny hat. But still people cried. Oh no! Next, Funny Onion met a banana. The banana said, Wear some funny shoes. So Funny Onion wore some funny shoes. But still people cried. Oh no! Funny Onion was ready to give up when he met a pineapple. What do you think the pineapple said? Mummy Pig asked the children. Wear a red nose, suggests Susie Sheep. Wear a purple wig, suggests Rebecca Rabbit. Very good, says Mummy Pig. But what the pineapple really said was, do something funny.
Wow.
Funny Onion did something funny, and everyone laughed. The end. As the story ends, the mummies and daddies arrive to take the children home.
Hooray!
I have your book, Dr. Elephant tells Mummy Pig. What did you mean by 453967? Mummy Pig doesn't tell him it's George's Happy Mrs. Chicken score. Everyone loves Mummy Pig's book. The end. Peppa Pig, play ball. Today the children will play ball.
Hooray!
But first they must practice. Peppa throws the ball to Susie. Susie catches it. Susie throws the ball to Danny. Danny fetches it. Danny throws the ball to George. But George doesn't catch it. Oh no! George is not very good at catching. Practice is over. Everyone takes their positions to play ball. Now the game will begin. Peppa throws the ball and Susie hits it with her bat. Then Susie runs around the cones. She wins 1 point. Next, it is George's turn to play. I think George is too young to play, Peppa says. You're never too young to play, Madame Gazelle replies. George surprises everyone by hitting the ball. He wins a point. Now it is Madame Gazelle's turn. Aren't you too old to play, Madame Gazelle? asked Peppa. You're never too old to play, Madame Gazelle says. Madame Gazelle swings the bat hard.
Wow.
The ball flies over the tree. The children run after it. Madame Gazelle is fast. She runs around the cones. That's 1 point, she says.
Hooray!
The ball flies all the way to the school and the children run after it. Then it bounces off the roof and flies the other way. Madame Gazelle runs around the cones again. "I'm scoring so many points," she says.
Hooray!
The ball zooms back to the field. The children try to catch the ball, but they end up in a big pile. "Did you catch the ball, Susie?" Peppa asks. "No," Susie says. "Did you catch the ball, Freddy?" Peppa asks. "No," Freddy says. Rebecca doesn't have it either. "Who caught the ball?" "George caught the ball." "Oh, I lose all my points. Well done, George," says Madame Gazelle.
Hooray!
"Hooray!" cheers Peppa. Everyone can play ball after all. The end. Peppa Pig, George's birthday. It's George's birthday today. Mummy Pig hands George a box wrapped in green paper. "Happy birthday, George," she says.
Dinosaur!
Cries George, pulling out a purple dinosaur. "I knew it would be a dinosaur, Stinky," says Peppa. George waves the toy dinosaur at Peppa. "Arr! Too scary," cries Peppa. Peppa has painted a card for George. "I was going to paint a flower," says Peppa, "but George does not like flowers, so in the end I painted a..."
Dinosaur!
cries George. Mummy Pig tells George that they are going somewhere very special for his birthday treat. "Yippee!" shouts Peppa. "Where are we going?" "You'll see," says Daddy Pig. George's birthday treat is a visit to the dinosaur room at the museum.
Wow!
George loves dinosaurs. They are his favourite thing in the whole world. "Not silly old dinosaurs again," groans Peppa. George stops in front of a big green dinosaur. He is standing on a yellow cross. There's a beep, and then roar! George jumps and begins to cry. "It's not real, George," says Mummy Pig. "Don't be frightened." "It's just a robot," says Daddy Pig. "Arr!" shouts George at the Robo-Dino. "And there's another surprise," says Mummy Pig. "All of Peppa and George's friends are here."
Hooray!
"Happy birthday, George," says everyone. Mammy Rabbit has made a delicious birthday cake for George. "I knew it would be a dinosaur cake," says Peppa. Mammy Rabbit laughs. "What an amazing guess, Peppa." "It's time for one last surprise," says Daddy Pig. "Can you guess what it is?" "Something to do with dinosaurs," says Peppa. Everybody runs outside to see. It is a bouncy castle in the shape of a dinosaur. A bouncy dinosaur. George loves bouncy dinosaurs, and so does Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa and George's Garden. Daddy Pig is sitting in his favourite sunny spot, reading a newspaper. What a perfect day for doing nothing, says Daddy Pig. The only thing that could make it better would be a cup of tea. He goes inside the house to make one. Grandpa Pig has come to see Peppa and George. You're going to have your very own flower garden, he tells them. Peppa and George are very excited. We need a nice sunny spot to plant your seeds, says Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig finds the perfect sunny spot and starts to dig Peppa and George's garden. When the garden is ready, Peppa and George will plant their seeds.
Hooray!
Oh, gasped Daddy Pig. What's going on?
We're making a flower garden,
says Peppa. But that's where I sit in my chair and read my newspaper, cries Daddy Pig.
Flowers are more important than chairs and newspapers,
says Peppa. It is time to plant the seeds.
Look, Daddy,
cries Peppa.
Wow!
Peppa has lots of flower seeds. George only has one flower seed, but it is a big one. Some birds have come to see what Peppa and George are doing. They start to eat the seeds.
Shoo, shoo,
calls Peppa.
leave our flower garden alone.
Daddy Pig gets some water to help the seeds grow. As soon as they see Daddy Pig, the birds fly away.
Daddy scared the birds,
Cheers Peppa. Grandpa Pig laughs.
Daddy Pig looks like a scarecrow.
Peppa, George, bath time, calls Mummy Pig.
But what if the birds come back?
Asks Peppa. Don't worry, Peppa. I'll make sure the birds don't eat the seeds, says Daddy Pig. The birds come back again. Luckily, Daddy Pig is there to scare them away.
Hooray!
Shoo, shoo, naughty birds, cries Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig guards the seeds until the birds have gone to bed. He is a very good scarecrow. It is 1 week later. Peppa, George, come and look, calls Daddy Pig.
The seeds have grown, says Peppa. My flowers are so pretty.
And George's plant is very tall, says Daddy Pig.
It's a beanstalk,
cries Peppa.
It goes all the way up to a giant's castle.
Ho, ho, ho. No, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. It's a flower, but it does go quite high.
George's flower is taller than our house, says Peppa.
Wow!
George has grown a sunflower,
explains Grandpa Pig.
Sunflowers are very tall plants.
Well done, George, says Grandpa Pig.
And well done, Daddy, says Peppa. You were a great scarecrow.
The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa gets a vaccination. Mummy Pig was taking Peppa to the doctor for her health check and vaccination. Are we all ready? Said Mummy Pig.
Yes, said Peppa. I've got Teddy.
And I've got your red book, added Mummy Pig. What's that? asked Peppa. It's your very own book, said Mummy Pig. It helps doctors see how you're growing up.
Wow.
Hello, Peppa, said Dr. Brown Bear when they arrived. Have you come for your health check and vaccination?
Yes, said Peppa. I've brought my red book and Teddy too.
Very good, said Dr. Brown Bear. You're seeing Dr. Polar Bear today.
Suddenly, a bell rang.
Ah, that means she's ready to see you, explained Dr. Brown Bear.
Peppa and Mummy Pig walked into the doctor's office. Hello, said Dr. Polar Bear cheerily. Who do we have here? I'm Peppa, said Peppa, and this is Teddy. Lovely, said Dr. Polar Bear. Now, did you bring your red book? Peppa handed her book to Dr. Polar Bear. Excellent, said Dr. Polar Bear. Let's start by seeing how tall you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. She took Peppa over to the measuring stick. Peppa stood up very straight. Wonderfully done, said Dr. Polar Bear. I'm a big girl now, Peppa said proudly. Yes, you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. She got out her pen and wrote Peppa's height in the red book. Now, Peppa, can you hop on these for me, please? Said Dr. Polar Bear, pointing to her weighing scales. Peppa stepped onto the scales. These scales tell us how heavy you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. Ooh, said Peppa. That's good, said Dr. Polar Bear, writing in Peppa's red book again. Now, it's time to use a stethoscope to listen to your heart, said Dr. Polar Bear. What's a stethoscope? asked Peppa. A stethoscope helps me hear your heartbeat and the air going in and out of your lungs, said Dr. Polar Bear. I put this bit on your chest and listen through the earpieces. Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear, would you like to listen to your heart beating? Yes, please, cried Peppa. Dr. Polar Bear put the stethoscope earpieces on Peppa's ears. said Peppa. It's going bumpy dump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump. Bumpy dump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump. Now it's your turn, Teddy, said Peppa, putting the stethoscope's chest piece on Teddy's chest. Is Teddy's heart going bumpy bump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump? asked Dr. Polar Bear. No, said Peppa. Teddy's heart doesn't do that because Teddy is a toy. Oh, I see, said Dr. Polar Bear, smiling. Next, Dr. Polar Bear got out her special doctor's torch.
Wow.
I'm going to look in your ears now, she said. Dr. Polar Bear shone the torch into each of Peppa's ears. said Peppa. That tickles. Dr. Polar Bear checked carefully inside Peppa's ears. That all looks lovely, she said. Now I'll check your mouth, said Dr. Polar Bear. I need you to open wide and say, ah. Dr. Polar Bear opened her mouth and showed Peppa what to do. Like this. Ah. Peppa opened her mouth as wide as it would go and stuck her tongue out. She yelled very loudly. Wonderful, said Dr. Polar Bear. Do you want to check my nose? asked Peppa. Thank you, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. I can see that your nose is working very well. Everyone laughed. Dr. Polar Bear put lots of ticks in Peppa's red book. Now, it's time for your vaccination, said Dr. Polar Bear. Do you know why we have vaccinations, Peppa? Peppa put her hand up. Yes, they stop us from getting ill, and that helps the people around us too. That's right, said Dr. Polar Bear, impressed. Sometimes vaccinations are given as a little spray in your nose, and sometimes as a tiny pinprick in your arm. Peppa held Teddy as Dr. Polar Bear gave her the vaccination. It was very quick. Well done, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. Would you like a sticker now? Oh, yes, please, squealed Peppa, jumping up. I love stickers. Me too, said Dr. Polar Bear, smiling. Are there any questions you want to ask me before you go, Mummy Pig? Said Dr. Polar Bear. No, thank you, Doctor, replied Mummy Pig. I have a question, cried Peppa. Have you had your vaccination, Dr. Polar Bear? Yes, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. Good. Then you can have a sticker too. Peppa loves getting stickers from the doctor. Everyone loves getting stickers from the doctor. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.